Hi, I would like to first welcome you and thank you for taking the time to view this demo to showcase the reports that ship as part of the MSSQL Power Pack from Lightspeed PM. This is one of a series of demos used to showcase the various features that ship as part of the offering. My name is Alain Abdul Sader and I will be your guide through this demo. The first report to look at is the MSSQL report. This report will provide lots of information in regard to the selected instances. You can specify a time range, a group, service, or specific instances can be selected, and the result will be combined. The Views info property allows you to specify what to print and in which order. Excluded databases allows you to specify an exclusion filter for databases. The default excluded databases are taken from a configurable registry variable. Excluded file groups allows you to specify an exclusion filter for file groups. The default excluded file groups are taken from a configurable registry variable. Finally, excluded jobs allows you to specify an exclusion filter for the agent jobs. The report provides information using all the available views. Please remember which views to report on and in which order can be managed using the Views info property. These were some of the views reported on. The PI Explorer report will generate a report like the PI Explorer view discussed in a separate video. You can specify a time range. You can specify a resource, dimensions to report on, and top N to retrieve. You can also select a group, service, or N specific instances, and the result is combined. You can also specify the metrics to report on. The default metrics are pre-selected based on the selected dimensions. You can filter the metrics based on the selected resource and by hiding the metrics with no data. There are many properties to control which period metric values to output. The PI instances report will generate a report like the PI instances view discussed in a separate video. The available properties are like the ones used by the PI Explorer report. There are 4 reports for the SQL statements and 4 reports for the SQL batches that include the full text of the statements in the report. 2 reports for SQL and 2 for T-SQL, which do not have target dimension in their name, were reports on the statements, but the values of the metrics are reported based on the instance. There are 3 new properties to explore. Include per dimension, which allows you to specify include filters for the various dimensions. Exclude per dimension, which allows you to specify exclude filters for the various dimensions. The filters are designed to filter the return top N to only output those that are either relevant to the included values or not relevant to the excluded values. Metric names to chart allows you to provide the list of metrics that will be reported on in a bar chart. There will be 1 chart per metric. By default, the active time metric is reported on. Here we have active time in the bar chart, the various default metrics, and the full text of the SQL statements. 2 reports for SQL and 2 for T-SQL, which have target dimension in their name, were reports on the statements, but the values of the metrics are reported based on the target dimension and value provided. There are 2 new properties to explore. Target dimension is the dimension that the metric's values will be based on. The target dimension value is the value within the dimension the metric's values will be based on. In our case, we'll be using the database's dimension and the master value. Please note that the dimension and value must be entered as displayed in the UI. The search is case sensitive. Again, active time, default metrics, full text of statements. Last but not least, we have the PI top N reports. These reports will report on the top N of any dimension. There will be one table per specified dimension. Please note that the dimension names must be entered as displayed in the user interface. Here we have the active time in the bar chart and the user's dimension with the default metrics. This concludes our demo. I hope it was informative and I thank you again for joining us.